I didn't have hunger when I was younger, like in Georgetown, because like we had money issues, but regardless of the fact, there's always food on the table. It might not have been what we wanted, but like there was always food on the table. You know what I mean? So like I was never really saw hunger. So I've never really been around it. So like I think moving to San Antonio has been like the first time I've actually thought of American. I've actually like thought of American people being hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, I mean, don't hurt the piano.
Swear to God, don't touch it.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, now you're breaking the bench.
This is not a win situation for me. Okay.
And you're not in the picture.
So is it?
Totally not the picture.
So is it a moral obligation for Americans to serve other Americans? Because I think that's what this is all tying into, is like, how obligated are we to help others?
I don't think it should be solely an American obligation. I think it should just be a humanitarian obligation. I mean, I don't like bringing this up because I don't necessarily agree with it, but you know, like love thy neighbor and all that, right? That whole stuff. I mean, I don't care if you practice a religion, but I mean, it's a good principle. It's a good thing to live by.
You know what I don't get? You know how a lot of countries like look to us for aid, but why do we not focus on us more than other people? Does that make sense? Like, why does America be like, no, like, we have our own issues with hunger. Like, why do we need to give you our resources when we have children in our streets that are hungry too? I think that kind of makes me mad. Like, yeah, honestly, we might have enough resources to go around for a lot of people, but I think our main concern should be us instead of trying to make our image look better to the world.
Arrogance. It ties into the American arrogance. That's what it's about. Is
I don't like it.
And it's exactly what Freire was talking about, false charity. Other countries are asking us for aid, they're asking for food and other supplies, but how are we helping them to get back on their feet? It sort of ties into like that concept of, I don't know if it's a Christian idea or a Christian parable, but you know, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for the rest of his life.
Proverb.
Chinese proverb, thank
Yeah.
you. But I think we're approaching this as a whole, like nations together, the developed nations are approaching it in a totally skewed manner. They're not helping to fight the effects of colonialism in certain areas. They're not focusing on the main issues as to what causes hunger. They're just looking for simple solutions here and now.
Yeah, like, here, let me give you some food, and for now, you'll be okay for a little while.
And yeah, it helps, but it's just not a good system of feeding everybody.
Well, no, because like, say, I don't know, go back to Africa, so it's stereotypical, but say that you give them food, I feel like they're going to learn they're going to rely on the food that you're bringing, and then eventually, when that runs out, they're not going to provide for themselves, you know?
It sounds like the whole underlying issue with not only our country but other countries as well is the policies.
Yeah.
Like if we go and say reform, or not necessarily if we go, but if we advise them to reform their policies, say in a foreign country, then maybe their economic situation will flourish even more, and then maybe hunger will go away. But we also need to take care of our own policies as well. Right?
I'd agree, but we can say that we need to fix our own policies, but what direction would we even begin to take as far as fixing our own policies?
Yeah.
I don't know. Our whole, like, everything's so ingrained in the system, it's so hard to change.
Sounds like when you know the FDR.
Huh?
It sounds like when you know the FDR.
We need a newer deal?
Yeah. The newer deal, exactly.
Is this bad for me to say? Like, the one thing, not that I like hunger, but it's kind of neat about it, is how, like, as a whole in general, kind of every country, there's always some hungry. Like, it's kind kind of like a relatable issue. Not by individual basis, but like as a whole.
Yeah.
I like that idea. It's something we can relate
I
to.
mean,
Terrible thing we relate to.
It's a sick form of world unity, but I mean, we all, you're right, we all do have something in common with that.
You don't agree?
All I can think of is how, like, every problem I've had with every issue that we've discussed falls back into how capitalism is so shitty.
Yeah.
Free market, like,
The whole self-interest thing?
self-interest thing, like, you know how businesses can flourish on their own. Like, it's not about serving the good of the country, it's about serving your own self-interest and making sure that you can accrue as much wealth as you want.
Yeah, like why are you going to college? You're going to college to get a degree so you can make more money.
MRS degree?
Yeah, so you can make money. I mean, you're going to do what you like, but overall you're just going to make money. Well, you're making money for yourself and not for the government or some, I guess, for society. You're not doing that.
And I mean, that's not to say that you couldn't, like, develop some great research for, you know, whatever community you're going into, but your drive right now, as well as any other American college student, is to get a job that pays well, so that you can buy a house and a car and support a family and have nice clothes and put food on the table.
It's true.
Your table, not anyone else's.
Yeah, but I agree. I think a lot of these issues that we're talking about, they're all tied into capitalism, because capitalism stretches not only in an economic aspect, but also a world of other aspects. Like, it permeates, the whole American dream and how Americans live. So I think that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say.
I think it also ties into the psychological aspect of eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia. Carl Rogers was a humanist psychologist who believed that people, in order to fully self-actualize and be the best person they had, were always trying to reach this self. And there's two types of selves that you can reach. Well, there's two types of selves that people strive to reach. There's the ideal self and there's the true self. The ideal self is a system of rewarded behaviors that you think you should perform so that others will be happy with you. You're never going to be able to reach the ideal self because the ideal self is always changing. There's always something more that you could have. Same with capitalism. What you want, what makes you happy is always changing. There's always something new coming out. There's always something there's something that you need to buy, you know? But the true self is reaching a point in which you are content with the way you're living, not necessarily with what you have, but with life itself and with your own behavior.
I got that, but how's it tie to anorexia?
It ties into anorexia because
Trying to reach for ideal?
girls are trying to reach this ideal self of being skinny and beautiful and like models on the runway and famous stars who don't have an ounce of fat on their body. I think the idea of, you know, what beauty is completely skewed here in America.
And it sounds like the true self could even tie back into where we first started with moderation and Buddhism, and that they know they don't want to overdo it, so they say, okay, well, we're content with this, we're fine with this at the moment. And I don't think we know how to do that. I mean, not at all. I mean, like you said, there's always something better for us to start with.
Okay. Is it the privileged people in America that have the option to like donate one meal once a month, you know? Is it like, just say, like, if they were donating one meal once a month, is that fair to put that on them to stop hunger? Because if you think about it, that would do a lot of good. If one person once a month was able to donate just one meal. Like that would help, but is it fair to put all the problems or all those solutions up on the upper middle class that have the wealth to feed people? Or should we start with the impoverished? Should we do something with them that allows them to not just have to rely on others to feed them? Do you know what I mean? Like, who do we...
Meals cost money.
Yes.
Taxes take money from people's paychecks, from wherever you're spending it, whatever, you know, house taxes, property taxes, city taxes, state taxes. I think the problem is how tax money is being spent. Billions are being wasted in law enforcement on pointless wars on drugs.